square and a circle. To create a square, select the rectangle tool on the left-hand side, and if you can't find it, type M. Click and drag the shape out on the artboard while holding the Shift key. To create a circle, use the ellipse tool, which is on the left-hand side, and if you can't find it, type L. Click and drag the shape out on the artboard while holding the Shift key. What we're going to do now is start with the basic tool. This tool that looks like a black cursor is called the selection tool. The keyboard shortcut for it is the letter V. This is a tool I come back to the most often, and knowing the shortcut would be very helpful rather than using the mouse every single time if you want to use the selection tool. The purpose of the tool allows you to select on objects and move them around the artboard. You will need to make sure you have selected on the object in order to move it. To move it now, press V or select on the selection tool icon in order to start moving the object around. If you would like to select on multiple objects, hold down the Shift key and click on the additional objects to add them to your selection. This will be helpful if you want to move around the objects and shapes that you have created. The next tool to learn about is the Direct Selection tool, which is beside or below the Selection tool. This tool looks like a white cursor, which is called the Direct Selection tool. The shortcut is the letter A. This tool identifies points that make up an object. With the shape that I just moved around, if I switch on the Direct Selection tool and select on it, you will see squares on the corners of the object. These squares are called anchor points. In this particular example, there are 4 anchor points: 1, 2, 3, and 4. These anchor points determine how the object is formed. Now I can change the shape of this object just by double-clicking on the anchor points and start moving it around. Notice how my shape changes and is no longer a square. A path is a single line which can be made up of several points known as anchor points. This is the technical term for object. There are 3 different types of paths. A basic path with 2 endpoints is called an open path, while a shape without a point is called a closed path. When 2 or more paths are connected, the resulting design is a compound path. A path is made up of a series of points called anchor points. The anchor points are the squares around the shape that make up the object. Once you hover over an anchor point, double-click it to manipulate the shape. A corner point can help change the path's direction. There are 3 different types of corner anchor points. Straight corner point, which is where 2 straight lines meet at an angle and do not have any control handles. For example, the corners of a rectangle. A curved corner point is when 2 curved lines meet at an angle and is called a curved corner point and has 2 corner handles. For example, the top tip of a heart shape. Combination corner point is where a straight corner point and a curved corner point meet and is called a combination corner point, and it has 1 control handle which controls the curved line. Meanwhile, there are smooth points which are designed so that the path continues as one smooth line. It helps path from changing direction abruptly. The scale tool allows you to adjust the width and height of an object. The shortcut for the scale tool is S. And in order to adjust the size of an object, you must select the object you want to resize by using the selection tool and selecting the object. Click anywhere on the canvas and drag up to increase the height. Drag across to increase the width. If you want to retain the proportions of the object, hold Shift key before you begin to drag and scale it up. The Option key allows you to scale from the middle, and to scale from the corner, if you hold Shift and Option, scale from the center and out and it will be proportionate. The next tool is the Rotate tool. The icon looks like a rotate tool with just one symbol. The Rotate tool allows you to rotate your objects without altering the size and the shape of your object. The shortcut for the Rotate tool is R. The default rotation point is the object's center point, so whenever you will rotate an object, you will see a blue dot at the center of the object. The light blue dot represents the center of rotation. This is how it looks when you rotate it at the center of the object. If you click and drag the blue dot outside of the shape, you will be adjusting the center of rotation, which means that the rotation will now be outside the object and it will look like this. The Reflect tool allows you to create a mirrored image on Illustrator. The shortcut for this is an O. If you want to reflect an image you have created, make sure you duplicate by selecting the object and holding the Option keys and dragging it out. There's also another method of reflecting your tool. Just select the object, right-click, transform, and then select Reflect. A window will pop up and you may select it if you want to reflect your object vertically or horizontally. There are two ways in which you can duplicate the object without having to create it and trying to make it the same size. First way of doing it is by selecting on your object by using the Selection tool or press V. Click on the object, hold Alt-Option, hover over the object, and you will notice a white cursor behind the black cursor. This indicates that your object is ready to be duplicated. All you need to do is click and drag. If you want to select more than one, you must select on both objects. Click and drag on both objects, hold the Alt-Option key, and do the same thing. In a scenario in which you have a lot of shapes and you want to duplicate particular objects, you must hold the Shift key and select on the objects individually. Then to duplicate, you would follow the same process. To repeat a certain action, the shortcut for it is Command D. So now let's test your understanding by trying to create a flower using the tools that we have learned about. Firstly, you need to create an ellipse to make the center of the flower. Use the Selection and Direction Selection tool by creating another ellipse to adjust the petal and move it above the circle. Duplicate and rotate and adjust the rotation point of the petal to the center of the circle and duplicate the petal to the right. Repeat the previous action, and once you've created the second petal, repeat the action so you can eventually create a flower. Duplicate the entire flower and reflect. Reflect the second flower and you will end up with two different flowers. Try it yourself, and if you need to see the answers, wait for it in a few seconds. Now let's do a little quiz to wrap up our understanding of the Selection tool. What is the purpose of a Selection tool and what is the shortcut? A. To move the object. B. To adjust the anchor points of the object. Or C. To rotate the object. Number 2. What is the purpose of a direct selection tool and what is the shortcut? A. To move the object. B. To duplicate an object. C. To adjust the anchor points of the object. Number 3. Identify the following paths. What is an anchor point? A. The points that make up a shape. B. The handles that connect to the point. Or C. The object. Number 5. How do you adjust an anchor point? Number 6. Identify the following points. Number 7. How do you adjust an anchor handle? A. Double-clicking on the object. B. Double-clicking on the anchor point. And C. Duplicating the anchor point.